Air pollution is what happens when the air we breathe becomes filled with harmful substances. These substances can be gases, dust, or tiny particles that are not naturally part of the clean air our bodies need. Think of it like adding dirt to a glass of clean water. You would not want to drink it. In the same way, breathing polluted air is unhealthy for us. This problem is especially serious in India, where the sky in many cities often looks grey or brown, not because of clouds but because of a thick layer of smog. This isn't just an ugly sight. It is a sign of a deep and dangerous environmental issue affecting millions of people every single day. One of the most dangerous pollutants is something called PM2.5. The letters PM stand for particulate matter, which are tiny specks of soot, dust, and chemicals floating in the air. The number 2.5 refers to their size. These particles are 2.5 micrometers or smaller in diameter. To understand how small that is, imagine a single strand of human hair. You could fit about 30 of these PM2.5 particles across the width of that one hair. Their tiny size is precisely what makes them so hazardous. They are too small for our noses and throats to filter out effectively when we breathe. The danger of PM2.5 lies in its ability to travel deep into our bodies. When we inhale these microscopic particles, they do not just stop in our upper airways. Instead, they bypass our natural defenses and penetrate deep into our lungs, reaching the tiny air sacs where oxygen enters our blood. From there, they can even pass into the bloodstream itself, circulating throughout our entire body just like oxygen does. This means these harmful particles can reach our heart, our brain, and other vital organs, causing damage and inflammation far from our lungs. This process is slow and silent, making PM2.5 a hidden killer. Because they are so small and light, PM2.5 particles can stay suspended in the air for a very long time, traveling long distances with the wind. This means that pollution from a factory or a farm fire hundreds of kilometers away can affect the air quality in a city. The air we breathe becomes a cocktail of these dangerous particles, mixed with other pollutants like nitrogen oxides and sulfur dioxide from vehicles and industries. This complex mixture creates the toxic smog that blankets entire regions, posing a constant and pervasive threat to public health that is impossible to escape simply by staying indoors, as these particles can easily seep inside. The scale of India's air pollution problem is staggering and difficult to comprehend. It is not a localized issue affecting only a few industrial cities. It is a national crisis that touches nearly every citizen. According to recent data, virtually the entire population of India, which is approximately 1.4 billion people, lives in areas where the average annual PM2.5 concentration is higher than the safe limit recommended by the World Health Organization. The WO guideline is set at 5 micrograms per cubic meter. But in 2024, India's national average was over 50 micrograms per cubic meter, more than 10 times the safe level. This means that everyone is breathing air that is officially considered hazardous to their health. India's cities consistently dominate global rankings for the worst air quality. In 2024, an astonishing 74 of the world's 100 most polluted cities were located in India. This highlights how urban centers have become hotspots for toxic air. Delhi, the nation's capital, once again earned the unfortunate title of the world's most polluted capital city, with its PM2.5 levels climbing even higher than in previous years. However, the problem extends beyond the major metropolises. The world's single most polluted place in 2024 was found to be Bernihat, a town in the state of Meghalaya, proving that even smaller urban areas are suffering from extreme levels of pollution. A significant geographic area of concern is the Indo-Gangetic Plain, a vast and densely populated region stretching across northern India. This plain is home to around 600 million people and includes many of the country's most polluted cities. The unique geography and weather patterns of this region, especially during the winter months, create conditions that trap pollutants close to the ground. This phenomenon leads to a severe buildup of smog, making the air in the Indo-Gangetic Plain about 20% more polluted than the national average. For the people living here, breathing dangerously polluted air has become a grim, unavoidable part of daily life. The reality for the people of India is that there is no escape from this crisis. The air in homes, offices and schools is often just as polluted as the air outside. While there was a slight national decline in PM2.5 levels in 2024 compared to the previous year, the country still ranks as the fifth most polluted in the world. This slight improvement offers little comfort when the air remains thick with pollutants, far exceeding safety standards. The sheer number of people exposed to such hazardous conditions every day makes this one of the most urgent public health emergencies facing the country today. The smog that chokes India's cities is not a natural phenomenon. It is the direct result of human activity. One of the biggest contributors is the sheer volume of vehicles on the roads. In bustling cities, millions of cars, buses, motorcycles and trucks emit exhaust fumes filled with PM2.5, nitrogen oxides and other harmful chemicals. Many of these vehicles are old and do not meet modern emission standards, making the problem worse. The constant traffic jams in urban areas mean that engines are left running for long periods, pumping a steady stream of pollutants into the air at street level, where people breathe it in directly. Another major source of pollution is industrial activity. Factories, power plants, and small-scale industries often release thick smoke and chemical waste into the atmosphere with little regulation or oversight. Many facilities still rely on burning coal, a particularly dirty fuel, to generate power or heat. This industrial discharge contains high levels of particulate matter and toxic gases. Construction across rapidly growing cities also adds to the problem, as demolition and building work throws enormous clouds of dust and fine particles into the air, which can linger for days and travel across large areas, contributing significantly to the overall PM2.5 load. A seasonal but intensely polluting practice is agricultural crop burning, often called stubble burning. After the rice harvest in states like Punjab and Haryana, farmers set fire to the leftover crop residue in their fields to quickly clear them for the next planting season. This practice releases massive plumes of smoke containing vast quantities of PM2.5 and other toxins. These smoke clouds are carried by the wind over hundreds of kilometers, blanketing the Indo-Gangetic Plain and causing a sharp, dangerous spike in pollution levels in Delhi and other northern cities every winter. This annual event turns an already bad situation into a severe public health crisis. Finally, the way many people cook and heat their homes contributes to the problem, especially in rural areas and poorer urban communities. Millions of households still depend on burning solid fuels like wood, coal, animal dung cakes, and agricultural waste for their daily energy needs. This indoor burning in poorly ventilated spaces not only creates extremely high levels of pollution inside the home, but also releases significant amounts of soot and smoke into the outside air. The widespread burning of garbage in the open is another common practice that releases a toxic mix of chemicals, adding yet another layer to India's complex air pollution challenge. The consequences of breathing India's polluted air are severe and far-reaching, with public health paying the heaviest price. The constant exposure to high levels of PM2.5 is a silent killer. Research has shown a direct link between long-term exposure and premature death. It is estimated that air pollution is responsible for an additional 1.5 million deaths in India each year. These are deaths that could have been prevented if the country's air quality met the WHO's safety standards. This invisible threat quietly damages the body over time, leading to a range of chronic and fatal diseases that cut lives short. The health impacts are devastating. The fine particles in the air cause and worsen respiratory illnesses like asthma, bronchitis, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. But the danger goes beyond the lungs. When PM2.5 enters the bloodstream, it causes inflammation and damage to blood vessels, significantly increasing the risk of heart attacks, strokes, and other cardiovascular diseases. The constant barrage of pollutants weakens the body's defenses, making people more vulnerable to infections. This health burden falls disproportionately on children, whose lungs are still developing, and the elderly, who have weaker immune systems. One of the most tragic impacts of air pollution is its effect on life expectancy. Studies have calculated that, on average, the life of a person living in India is cut short by 5.2 years due to the toxic air they breathe. This figure is even higher in the most polluted regions, such as the Indo-Gangetic Plain. This means that an entire generation of people is projected to live shorter, sicker lives solely because of the environment they were born into. This loss of life years represents a profound and preventable tragedy on a national scale, undermining the country's social and economic progress. In response to this crisis, The Indian government has launched initiatives like the National Clean Air Program to reduce pollution. However, experts argue that much more needs to be done. They call for stricter emission standards for industries and vehicles, and an end to crop burning. A key suggestion is to adopt an airshed management approach which recognizes that air pollution crosses state and even national borders, requiring coordinated action across entire regions. Ultimately, the fight for clean air is a fight for the health and future of every Indian. It is a fundamental right, and ensuring its protection requires urgent, collective action from the government, industries, and citizens alike.